What's going on, good people? Welcome back to Mars Day with Mark, episode 97. This is the week of April 15th to the 22nd. It is your host with the most, Mr. Miner with the Fire. I want to thank everybody for being part of the community Fire family. We lit today. Basically, it's the last week of Aries. The sun is making crazy aspects, which we're going to talk about. We've got a last quarter moon, just had our full moon in Libra. The moon is also going to make some crazy aspects. Mercury, this week is crazy, guys. Oh my goodness. Just as far as action-packed events, things we need to talk about, this is the week. Mercury's making crazy aspects. Venus is doing the same. So is Mars. And then the planets past Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they move a little bit slower, but they're intricately wrapped up in the business. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I want to make it short, sweet, to the point, real Aries energy. Let me share the chart. We'll do the degrees, and then I'll point you in the direction of these events that we got going on. And guys, we are nearing episode 100 very soon. And oh my goodness, it has been a wild ride. The production value's going up, the quality's going up. I never thought this series would take me here, living my dreams, embracing my passions, talking to a bunch of jabronis about the stars, frankly. I fucks with you because you're weird like me. Okay, anyway, I was thinking I gotta get a cake or something, like celebrate the 100. I might take a trip to Mars. Anyway, is my screen on? I hope so. So by the way, just I digress. I got the new laptop and I'm in the process of switching everything over. So the quality should be a little bit better really soon by 100. It's like we just got the new lights, we got the new space, the camera and everything. It's like once I move things over, fam, you should see a little improvement. As a digression, I also found out how to use cinematic mode on my iPhone, and I feel really slow because it's been there damn near the whole time. So anyway, just message being, step your game up, man. Just keep on pushing and let's get to it. Anyway, today, the 15th of April, you can see the chart. Ignore the houses, by the way, because this is my local geography. This probably does not apply to you. But anyway, you've got the sun at 26 Aries. So we got about 4 more days of Aries season. Our moon is waning through Scorpio. Just had that full moon in Libra. We've got Mercury at 29 Pisces. It's like so close to being done. You've got Venus at 24 Pisces. She's also pretty close. Mars is at 29 Pisces as well. We got two planets at 29. In this chart, it's funny, the moon is actually at 29 Scorpio. Oh my goodness. This grand water trine. Very magical moment I'm having right now. Hope you guys are enjoying it too. I'm glad we can share it right now. Wow. So Mars is almost finished. It's at the very last degree. You've got Jupiter at 18 Gemini, Saturn at 26 Pisces, and pay attention to the North Node at 25 Pisces. I usually list this last, but it's important to see it's right between Venus and Saturn. So there's going to be a lot of funky, fated things happening in our lives around this time. Is really just the best way to say it. What that plays out like, it's going to be really dependent on house and rulership in your personal chart and any planets you may have around, 24 to 26 degrees of the mutable signs. Anyway, it could be a bigger orb than that. But anyway, we also have Uranus at 25 Taurus. We've got Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, and we've got Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius. And the black moon Lilith, I'm telling you guys, she's at 2 degrees of Scorpio, and that's very significant. So let's go one week in the future, look at the degrees, then we'll break it down step by step. And, I would say order of importance, but it's really like descending order. We'll just start from the sun, we'll work our way backwards. Anyway, a week from now, next episode 98, we'll start off with the sun at 3 degrees of Taurus, the moon still waning, moving towards that new moon in Taurus, which is going to hit around the 27th of April, but we'll be somewhere in Aquarius, Capricorn, something like that, or Aquarius, Pisces, I should say. Anyway, waning moon, we'll have Mercury at 5 degrees of Aries. We'll have Venus at 26 Pisces. Mars is going to switch over, just like the sun. 2 degrees of Leo. You've got Jupiter moving up a degree. Saturn is moving up a degree. Uranus is creeping along. The Neptune is creeping. You've got Pluto creeping. Black Moon Lilith moves up a degree, and that's crazy, guys. I know it's just 1 degree, but that's a square to Pluto. So we're gonna break it all down. When I say crazy aspects, I want to look you in the windows to your soul. I want to look you right in the face and tell you it's not like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like somebody doesn't really want to have a conversation. It's like, no, dude, this shit is crazy. These aspects are intense. And the sun's gonna shine and rise and fall every single day. And the astrology at times can look mundane, but I'm telling you, if you pay attention, if you align with these energies, you actually get to experience more of a benefit from being present, having that awareness. So that's what astrology's done for me. I hope to give that gift to you today, Fire Family, where instead of just listening to numbers on a screen and thinking about, a chart, you're really living in this experience. You really are the solar system. So that's my want for you. So first thing, number one, the sun. That's life. That's the center of our experience. And if we didn't have the sun, we would all die. So we give thanks to the sun. Just know and understand wherever it's traveling in the zodiac, we're basically receiving that energy from the cosmos, from the universe. So it's been Aries energy. We're kind of shifting gears this week, guys, to keep it 100. Because Aries is the first sign. It's fire, it's passion, it's raw, it's intense, it's new. So last 26 days, we've been in that Aries spirit, that life, that new energy. So shout out to Aries. And even if you aren't an Aries, the sun is highlighting Aries. So just keep in mind as we go through this week, the sun is going to highlight a different house in your chart. So it's really wise to figure out where that is. If that's all news to you or jargon, you're going to want to hit the description and grab simplified astrology. But for instance, if you had Taurus rising, the sun would be going through your first house in the season of Taurus. If you were like a Scorpio rising, the sun will be going through your seventh house of Taurus. I'm a Virgo rising, so it's in my ninth house, etc., so on, so forth. So we're going from fire to earth, my friends. And what this means is changing gears, kind of like downshifting, frankly. If you want to know which direction, we're not speeding up or slowing down because it's that passion. Let's go get it. Hold up, can I? I got these new lights, man, and it kind of takes a second to take the filter off of it, but it's like I wish I could just clap my hands, switch it to the green because it's really gonna, yeah, boom. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna be just like that. It's gonna be nice. We're gonna get to a more chill, rhythmic, steadfast pace. I want to embrace the planetary rulership. So you just kind of know a little bit about these signs beyond you going from like the symbol of a ram to the symbol of a bull and just those temperaments and qualities being quite different. A ram will knock your shit down. Frankly, a bull will too. But most of the time, bulls are really just chill and docile until you really start fucking with them. A ram might fuck with you just because it sees you. You know what I mean? So that I think that really illustrates the difference between Aries and Taurus. But if we want to break it down on a planetary level, you got Mars energy for Aries, passion, war, intention, fire. You've also got the sun, which is about, life and confidence. The sun does really well in Aries. Truly, the sun does well in every sign. But as far as personality and characteristics, there's the sun exalting itself in Aries. This is the tradition. It talks about the sun falling in Libra. If you live in the western part of the world, it's kind of interesting, or I should say the northern hemisphere. It's interesting to see that, when we go through fall, the sun is in Libra, the fall. So just kind of the way it associates and correlates is just really interesting to me. But anyway, instead of being in the Mars and the Sun energy from Aries, we're really going to be switching for 30 days of Taurus into the Venus energy. And some would just say Earth energy in general, not just elemental, but planetary Earth, like the place we live. Very Taurus, fixed Earth. So what's that mean though? That genuinely means quality and beauty in life are going to be priority. Taurus is really chill, man. So I want to shout out to Taurus. Like, you guys are the coolest. From a Saturn Taurus person, I want to tell you guys, Taurus people light me up. They make me very happy because you guys just know how to appreciate good things and the qualities that life has and like the sensual part of life, the feeling, the tactile, the senses. That's really Taurus energy, being surrounded with beauty and quality. I see that this, especially if you're in the same hemisphere as me, like we go through spring, it's like easier to be outside. The sun's bright. It's life. It's alive. It feels good. So it's going to be like eating well, sleeping well, breathing well. We probably making a lot more money. Taurus kind of has that simplifying quality. Like it's very earth-like and logical and grounded, and things gotta make sense on a practical level. So I really like that quality. It's really about a steadfast pace and correctness, integrity. It's really important. And I also want to talk about the house correspondence too, because it's a lot to get into. And I frankly think this gives a good framework. But Taurus is the second sign in the body that rules over the throat. And the throat is about our communication. It's about living our truth. It's also about boundaries, a lot of different things. And one of those things would be integrity. Do you keep your word and beyond doing what you say you're going to do you do what you know you need to do? Like that's a communication thing in itself, right? So Taurus is a lot about integrity. It's about living simple, making things make sense, and understanding your values. And that brings a sense of peace and centeredness and stability. Taurus also reflects self-reliance. So that's going to be a big thing no matter where this is in your chart. I'm telling you guys, Taurus is providing for yourself. It's orienting towards security. That's what this energy is about. And frankly, you'll see that as the theme. And keep in mind the sun. Beyond it reflecting how we exist and how we live, the sun has this psychological experience of joy, the things that we want to do, what we're attracted to. So just know that things are going to get a little, you'll feel the switch to Taurus. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, two things about the sun. Well, really three. Bro, the sun is going through a weird time, man. It's an interesting time busting into Taurus. I don't know if that's the word, but anyway, if you guys look at the chart, I'll share it for just a second, but you can even do this in your head because we did the degree breakdown. And I want to say also, I really recognize a lot of you guys are astrologers, so it's awesome, and I really appreciate you guys coming here to join the discussion, and we can share our hyperfixation over this stuff. It's awesome, so thank you for that. But anyway, at the last day of our week, because we do this on Tuesdays, on April 22nd, we've got our sun at 3 degrees. You've got Pluto at 3 degrees in fixed signs, Taurus and Aquarius, respectively. My friends, you've also got Lilith at 3 Scorpio. You've also got mother effing Mars at 2 degrees of Leo. What the? Bro, this is a grand cross. This is a powerful week. This is a crazy week, guys. Like, time is a relative thing. You can really set your week up whenever. But like, hey, from Tuesday to Tuesday, man, this next Tuesday, whoa, like pressure is building this week, guys. Because like in context of switching element, switching gears, temperance, perhaps taking that fire, that passion, that vision, that will, and then centering it, stabilizing it, integrating it. This is kind of feels to me like landing a plane where you are going really freaking fast, guys. Like it could go both ways. Like launching and landing a plane are similar, but I think this really is like landing the plane. First, there's that bump, when the landing gear hits the ground, but then they turn those freaking jets on to slow the forward momentum because you were just flying through the air at like incomprehensible speeds. So to me, this it's not a T square, it's a grand cross. This grand cross to me, and like think about it, the four qualities of it is the sun, Pluto, Mars, Lilith. So the sun is our energy, and our personality, our ego structure, our spirit, our life. Mars is energy too, but it's also about the choices we make, where our desires are oriented. You've got Pluto, which is like when I say energy, it's like energy in Times New Roman 12 is the sun. Okay, energy in bold is Mars. And then it's like Pluto is like energy in the Wingdings font or like that Zalgo text generator. It's like, bro, did the text glitch? Like it's your I hope I'm making sense, bro, because I'm speaking in metaphors and meta fives. I'm a Mercury 12th house person, guys. So like just I really might lose you in the picture sometimes, but I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Why would I be sorry? I take that shit back. Anyway, Pluto's your soul. So it's like deep unconscious energies. And then you've got Lilith, which is like, that's the lunar apogee. It's also unconscious at times. It's dark primal feelings and survival needs. So it's like all four of these come together at a really hard angle. And back to the metaphor of a plane landing. You probably have a nice, enjoyable time getting into this Taurus energy, and then it might just hit you, whoa, I really gotta slow down. I gotta chill. Gotta get my energy aligned, gotta get my unconscious beliefs aligned. I gotta take power over my life to be able to, live a more steadfast existence. And I hope you can kind of see as I'm talking about that, how that could relate to all those planets involved. But basically, just to kind of, because I've I've got a lot on my notes paper, but I want this to be concise. A big part of this sun transit this week is yes, we're gonna slow down. We are gonna move to Taurus. Our vision will shift, but it is going to be wrapped up in a lot of other things. So the squares, which is what this Grand Cross is, I'm gonna really like draw on it really quick. You guys should be able to see it, but you've got a square, like four right angles. So it's two oppositions, however you want to see it. And really, this is just an extreme energy. So you've got extreme passion, extreme anger, perhaps, rage, wanting to fight. The Pluto, that's Mars, by the way. The Pluto part of it, this could be extreme intensity. For some, paranoia, fear, a want for control. This might make people extra secretive this week. You know, you may not necessarily want to, I don't know how this power affects you, but it's just something to think about. And then when we look at the opposition part, because we're really referencing the sun, this is the sun opposite to Lilith, and what that is about is a deep look into your darkness. So this week is pretty cool, if you ask me. Yeah, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to confront yourself on the deepest level? Are you ready to see yourself as everything else in the world? Are you ready to integrate non-dual consciousness, all being one and one being all? Are you ready? Is my question. I say at 11:11 on my clock as I film this. Are you ready to integrate your shadows into your personality so your unconscious doesn't guide your life and dictate it and you call it fate? And I'm glad that's what I said. Who said that? Was that Freud or Nietzsche? Carl Jung? Somebody shout out one of the philosophers, psychologists, because we are going to talk a little bit about fate today. Couple things before we get to that. It's really the North Node being lit up so much this week. So hey, to wrap up the sun thing, because it really is the brightest light setting our stage this week. A big deal with character development, us choosing to be better as a person. Integrity checks, guys. That's what the sun aspects are about. Pressure makes a diamond out of you, and it's only under those tests that you get to really measure the quality that you wish to exemplify, okay? And I hope that makes sense. But for instance, it's like you could really be a patient person in your identity. You think you're patient, but if nobody really tests you, maybe you're not in circumstances where you need to be patient. It's just one example. That could be a bunch of different qualities, but I just hope that drove it deeper. So anyway, let's talk about the moon. The moon, pretty interesting stuff. We have the moon really just doing a last quarter phase this week as we wane out. So we just had that powerful full moon in Libra not too long ago, and what that's doing is bringing in new balance and new peace, and also helping us release any relationships we've outgrown or any imbalances within our lives, or just bring us a general sense of clarity. I'm a Libra moon by birth, so this one has been profoundly great, and I really can't sum it up better than that. But anyway, as we go through this waning moon, when we hit this release, basically on Sunday, the 20th, we'll have that waning moon somewhere in like Aquarius. But at the same time, guys, keep in mind, we'll have the moon touching Pluto right then as we, square up with the sun. So one thing I want to talk about this T square, this grand cross for just a second, before we wrap off the sun and the moon, is that because Pluto is going to move slower than Mars in the chart, you'll see the sun square Pluto really being a thing for this week. But as far as Mars square the sun, that's gonna, or sun square Mars, however you want to see it, that's gonna be for the next couple weeks, okay? And the Lilith thing, that's really this week. So I just kind of wanted to break that down for a second because, I'll tell you next time, but we've got the Mars one for a couple weeks. So anyway, just be ready to feel your feelings, nurture and comfort yourself. That's the moon's conversation. So let's talk about Mercury. Mercury's got some action too. And I'm going to run this chart back just a second because this is the end of the week, but look at the beginning. Where we start, Mercury switching from Pisces to Aries. So basically, it's kind of like Aries season, these last 4 days, they kind of have an extra push at the very end, send us across the finish line fast. And, that's Mercury switching direction, how we travel, how we move, how we think, how we process, full speed ahead. But you do have Mercury conjunct to Neptune right as we burst on the scene. So, you know, this is a 14-year thing, Neptune and Aries, but this is the first planetary conjunction we've had since Neptune moved into Aries. So I think this is going to really integrate the vision. Only time will tell. Really, tomorrow on Wednesday, this is going to cross over. But take some time just to sit inside of yourself, your inner temple. Like, fam, this might sound cliche, but truly, in interest of having an experience with these planets, I promise, if you can really just take the time to practice imagining, when this Mercury goes over Neptune, you're going to find the energies brought into your life, truly. And what would you imagine? Hey, it's your life, whatever you want. But you may notice that no matter what it is you imagine, it's a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So, imagination is something you create, take control of the brush, paint something really beautiful, and it'll probably lead you to more beauty in your external world. So, pay attention to the symbolism this week is really my best advice for the Mercury Neptune thing. And hey, also with Mercury and Aries, like it's sometimes instinctive how we think and things come really quick or without even thought. And sometimes, this inspiration, this brilliance can come so fast. I just want to say to y'all, write your ideas down. Make a practice this week of when you get a genius idea, put it on paper. Make sure you don't lose that brilliance because it's just coming so quickly, okay? Anyway, let's talk about Venus. Venus is almost done with Pisces. She's going to be there all week, but you've got her crossing over the North Node all week, basically, as far as the degrees go. I can move her forward day by day so you can see. But she's in the bottom of this chart in Pisces. So, Venus in Pisces is actually really one of the most beautiful things because it's the planet of love and value in the sign of spirit and abundance, among so many other things. So this transit is giving us higher visions of love and harmony and beauty. And it also calls us for a deeper level of meaning. It calls us for transcendence and escape. I've posted videos about this before, but this is one of those exalted placements where it's fun to be in, but it can be extreme at times, and moderation can be needed. For instance, Pisces is imagination. You've got love. You put those together, you could be attached to a fantasy and two people might not necessarily see everything eye to eye. Pisces can be kind of foggy and dreamlike sometimes. So in relationships, and I'm telling you guys, whether it's personal, interpersonal, etc., romantic, platonic, you need to work on communication in any type of relationship so we don't really have a lot of fog. It's a great way to build intimacy, just letting words be a bridge of understanding. I think a lot of us know this, but it's just so worth it in the conversation because the way Venus and Pisces works, you may not necessarily care if things really aren't aligned because that vision, that beauty, that imagination is satisfaction. It's satisfaction regardless if the physical world is really leading up to it. Pisces also has that martyrdom kind of energy where it's very generous. It's empathic. It's water, so it loves to give and you can give way too much and more than you need to and know that, but be okay with it because you had a dream. Like no MLK, man, but you were excited about your fantasy. And, that's where Venus and Pisces can get two extremes. And, sometimes Pisces is the idea of escape or transcend. And then these indulgences like relationships or love or pleasure or substance, they can be the mode to escape. And frankly, that is neutral, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So if you are, for instance, like escaping, like an altered state for medicine, perhaps, if you get my drift, that's different than, trying to avoid the day-to-day life and your experiences, you know, investigating a relationship because it makes sense and it seems to be symbiotic is different than approaching love from a space of, I can't be by myself. I cannot wait to be in a relationship. And these narratives, or, they might not be that clear as far as you understanding yourself. So just like Venus, you got to look in the mirror, guys, to really see her is really my best advice because Venus, like, I hope you're connecting with the planets as I say this because she shows us how we love, what we value, but she would show you what you would do, how you manipulate yourself or others to get what you want as well. So, this shit gets deep, guys. Let's talk about like let's talk about Mars then. It goes deep. Let's go deeper. Okay, but before that, one more thing about Venus before I leave that is because yeah, she's gonna be in Pisces. So keep in mind all the things that work with that. Saturn conjunct to Venus all week kind of helps us out with that. And we've had her traveling Saturn last week too, but there is some stability coming from Saturn trying to test the integrity of the bonds. Like we're gonna want solid foundations and longevity and things of that nature. So, reality checks are really coming at this time with the Venus Saturn. And then let's talk about Mars going into Leo. Because, hey, man, Mars has spent a long time in Cancer and it's cooked. Frankly, I like Mars in Cancer, but that's another one of those placements I was born with. I'm like Lady Gaga, I was born that way. And everybody's crashing out. I love this shit. It's amazing. So Mars, you guys know, is the planet of desire. It moves our action. It's how our energy is flowing in the world. And Cancer is ruled by the moon. It's the inner world and the emotions and the feelings. And on one note, that is an emotional orientation towards life. That is also the desire for comfort and a desire for rhythm. And it is about the inner world when Mars is in Cancer. And it also is a desire for intimacy. And you'll see on the highest expressions of Mars and Cancer, you manifesting your heart's desires, you finding a really beautiful rhythm, finding a flow, and that breeds deep peace, having really powerful, unified personal relationships, and just really feeling fulfilled. And hey, the biggest thing I need to talk about with Mars and Cancer, because guys, like we're switching this week, but please remember all the beautiful lessons that came from this. Mars and Cancer teaches us to find internal security. I can't emphasize that enough, guys. And while we talk about Venus being exalted in Pisces and the sun being exalted in Aries, Mars in Cancer is one of these placements that's the complete opposite. It's fallen. It's not even just in its detriment. This is the hardest place for Mars to be. So they say, many say, because it's the warrior in the garden. It's far better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So they say. I think there's some truth to that saying, but really, that's the challenge of Mars and Cancer, guys. I'm gonna keep it 100, especially since take it from somebody with this placement who lives this every day of their life. The challenge with Mars and Cancer is that aggressive attitude towards getting your emotional needs met. And it's awesome because it's gung ho, balls to the wall. Let's not get stopped. Let's not get interrupted because you really start to pursue a quality of life that is actually more meaningful. And not everybody has necessarily attained it. And at the same time, think about this. It can be confusing for you and other people because your decisions, which is Mars, are governed by the emotion, how you feel at the moment, past habits, the conditions that you've been imprinted with. So, it kind of plays out sometimes where like you can initiate anything in your life and driving yourself forward is not the problem, but continuing that path of action because your emotions are so freaking volatile kind of presents itself as a problem. So, learning how to be consistent, but also know when to pivot and redirect your energy is really important with this one because ultimately what you want in life is satisfaction. And the last thing you want to do is climb up the wrong tree or make your bed and invest in some stuff you don't want to lie in, right? So, emotional orientation, going towards the heart. The most negative parts of this is that, this could, and keep in mind, guys, with the extended retrograde, we've had this Mars and Cancer for last couple months, but this is the week where we switch. So these last months at worst might have been really emotionally frustrating Displaced emotions might just start coming up out of nowhere. Beyond frustrating, really upset for some reason, sad, apathetic, bored, conflict with family members or close friends, extreme anger, internalized aggression, passive aggressiveness. This is also pretty much the worst part of this. I'm gonna keep it 100 in this. Just something, it's a universal experience. That's why Mars does what it does here. But when we want to get our needs met and they're very emotional, sometimes we go about meeting those needs a very indirect way. And that can be manipulation. That can be beyond passive aggressive. That can be, sometimes very subtle, coercive manipulation, be possessive. It could not be really fair. It could border on abuse, to be quite frank with you guys. So, you know, that's the thing that is fuck, dude. And this is actually it's hard to talk about, but at the same time, it really does lead us into a deeper conversation. Because I told you guys this shit gets deep. And I don't say that or say that this stuff's crazy just to talk your ear off, man. Like, holy shit. Holy shit, this shit is crazy. And that moves us into the next point. As Mars moves into Leo, Mars is going to go opposite to Pluto. And this is one of those aspects. If you guys have been watching Mars Day with Mark, we talked about this last year because when we have retrogrades, a lot of times we'll have like a triple aspect. So I'm going to circle this, but you guys see Mars at the end of Cancer, Pluto at the beginning of Aquarius. When Mars first went into Leo, it crossed over Pluto in that opposition. And then Mars went retrograde. And then it made the opposition again as it reversed. And then Mars went direct. And this is where we are now. Mars moves all the way forward, and it's going to make not the conjunction, but the opposition one more time. So this is a crazy opposition, guys. And the thing is, this one is going to last. I'm actually going to move the clock for you guys so you can see. We're going to have a couple weeks of this. So this is 1 week in the future, the 22nd, like the end of the week, next episode. Mars hasn't even really broken this opposition, but it's applying to it and it's tightening up. So the next week, Mars will be at 5 and Pluto will be at 3. So in 2 weeks, basically. And that's about a 2-degree orb. So I'm trying to keep it neat and tight for you guys, just so I can be more of a powerful predictive astrologer. So if my astrologers in the chat are watching and wondering, will we feel this beyond 2 to 3 degrees? Probably, but just trying to lock it in. Anyway, I digress, but I think it's worth noting. So anyway, you got this Mars opposite the Pluto energy. And like I said, we felt this the last year a little bit in little spikes, but there's a few ways to analyze this, guys. Mars and Pluto are very similar planets. Mars is energy, Pluto is soul power. Mars is instinct, Pluto is our choices. All right. Instinct and evolution, power and control. Pluto is our essence. It's raw and it's primal. And Mars is really about the more funnel of how our actions are derived. So one thing you could see with Mars and Pluto opposite, is a desire, which is Mars to have control, Pluto. You could look at this like the desire to regenerate, which is also Pluto, to transform. Pluto is a purging thing too. Pluto can show us where things have rotted or need to be decomposed. So one conversation that came up a lot with the last couple oppositions was removing energy vampires from your life. And that's another thing about Mars and Cancer energy in general is that sometimes you have to assert emotional boundaries in your life. So this conversation is crazy. And sometimes you need to let parasites out of your life, whether that is psychic or physical. This is about strengthening yourself. It's about evolving your willpower. This is about impulse control, among so many other things. It's about evolving. And what are we evolving into? That's a predication of your choices and your focus. Okay. So it kind of gives this desire to take life more seriously, frankly, and to really strive for greatness as opposed to just mediocrity. Okay. A desire to be secret, to be alone, to have privacy. But also, I'm telling you guys, speaking of the energy vampires, this is another one of those things with Mars Pluto is like everybody's going to experience this energy. Some are going to be more conscious than others. Some are going to be more wise and full of integrity than others. But some will have this Mars Pluto kick off and they'll have this desire for power, this desire for control. Some may try to assert control over others because they want to feel powerful in their own life. So that's something to think about and it's something to pay attention to. And I've said this last two times this hit, guys, but be dangerous, stay ready, move militant, have weapons on you. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but I just see too many people being a casualty of life. I'm gonna give it to you raw. There's dangerous people in this fucking world. And the solution is not to live in fear and avoid the world. Sometimes you gotta know when to pick your battles or which areas not to actually go to. But when you practice preventative maintenance, you can be ready and not have to get ready and not be a casualty of weird people that lack self-control or feel entitled to other people's energy. So it's just worth getting into because I care about you guys, man. Just be ready because, even the best people can be a target from somebody who has nothing to lose. So I love you guys. Just take care of yourself, be powerful, and let your power protect you and other people. And I think the real beautiful thing about this to kind of lighten this up and also drive the point deeper is that Mars Pluto is really about you having power and control in your life, you having your sovereignty. So divert your energy towards improving yourself, growing yourself, being a greater version of yourself. That's really the best way to use this. Do things like put pressure on yourself, but do it in a systematic way so you don't really collapse. I tell people all the time because I was told by a mentor, put pressure on the system and don't put it on yourself. But truly, if we could make a systematic way to improve ourselves, put growth in our life, that's amazing. So anyway, I'm going to touch on the last couple aspects and send you guys on your way because that's really Mars Day with Mark this week is that, you are going to have Mars opposite to Pluto and also that's going to make Mars opposite, or I'm sorry, square to Lilith and square to the sun. And, we're going to have that look into our darkness. We have Jupiter. Okay, yeah, let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper. We got Jupiter and Mars, like Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto, and oh God, all these planets are doing something. Jupiter's kind of debilitated, not a good or bad thing, but Jupiter's in Gemini, so we're just growing in a very eccentric and chaotic way. Multiplicity is a really Gemini thing, having many different avenues and interactions and things being really fast. So that's Jupiter Gemini. Jupiter moves a sign a year, and it's really the way we grow. And it's how the universe blesses us. So the thing about this one is you got to stay fluid, stay flexible, stay versatile, but at the same time, don't be spread too thin. Okay. But anyway, I will say that when we lean into Jupiter's energy, we generally feel free, we feel in control, we feel confident, we feel important. So you got Gemini energy. So this tells me like if you're able to communicate at this time, or if you're learning, if you're improving your intellectual framework, if you're gaining new knowledge, if you're studying, if you're learning, you're going to feel really good about life with Jupiter and Gemini. If you can see how this stuff is leaning you forward, okay? But a couple things. So Jupiter is making, some people don't see these because these are considered minor aspects, but I don't think there's anything minor about this. But the sesquiquadrate, the 135-degree angle that we have from Jupiter to Lilith and Pluto. And frankly, these two are very similar. And it speaks to me about this desire for control yet again, and also the unconscious feelings driving us forward. So, if I could really make it more succinct, this inner work can be kind of messy. Last video, I said, bring on the healing. That was the title of the video, something like that, because the sun was crossing over Chiron. We had that full moon. We had a lot of moon aspects as well. So now that we're going into the sun, chopping up with Pluto and Lilith and Jupiter moving us forward. So here's the thing about Jupiter. It's like this energy of confidence, control. I have my life figured out. But then also, you've got the darkness for you to work on as well. And you can only take it one bit at a time. Don't get too wrapped up into the work, but also don't get so serious about the work where you start kind of getting nihilistic or paranoid or just obsessed with the darkness. And hey man, like another Jupiterian thing is like self-righteous. You know, you can get to the point where you've done so much work on yourself, you think you're better than everybody in the world. And what's worth admitting, frankly, guys, is that when you improve yourself, you better yourself, and you compare things just on a base level, like habits. If someone slept in all day, and if someone had and it's also intention that matters, but like the discipline to wake up to their alarm clock, and like those were reasonings behind lazy, because I sleep in because I'm lazy, take my alarm because I want to be disciplined. It's like if you just looked at those objectively, it's like the discipline would be superior because it's better because you can do more with it, you know. Frankly, it's more intentional is the way I'm seeing it. I hope I'm making sense, but what I'm saying is that by definition it's better, which isn't by definition superior. So what's coming full circle now is there's ways in life where some things are objectively better. And sometimes your quality, your integrity, it could be better than others, but at the same time, you just got to remember we never really arrive. It's each one teach one. Everybody was an idiot at one point too. So, just to be humble this week is also really important. Because, hey, man, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, kind of going full circle. This week is an ego death too, with the sun square to Pluto. That's ego death, and that's gonna be hard. Hey, and the way you deal with this energy is how you deal with it, and the same for everybody. And some people are gonna make the transition very gently and very easily, and they won't be resisting. They will be surrendering. But some people are gonna come kicking and screaming. Some people will let their egos turn into a wild wildebeest and go crazy, like it was trapped in the corner of a cage. It would start freaking out. So at the same time, it's going to be a great week. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. It's going to be an amazing week. Why? Because we're going to make it one. We're going to be proactive, not reactive. Cool energy, cool story, bro. Like that's the chart. And just at the end of the day, you are a solar system. You are a star. Fire family, where it's my lighter. Stay lit. You're a star. You create this world. So create a beautiful one. Create a life that you love and share your joy with the world. And share a comment with me in the description. Hit that like and subscribe on the way down. I would like you guys to know what's up with your chart. What's up with your life? How are you doing? Am I the only motherfucker with Pluto square their Saturn? Let's get the discussion down below. Fire family, I love you. It's Mr. Meyer with the fire. Here to take the collective vibration higher. Mars Day 98 coming out next week. Our sole intention, Fire Family, is to reconcile all paradox with love and truth. And I love you. Blessed be. And thanks for watching.